50th birthday, Kyle Kirkwood captured the Freedom 250, earning his second IndyCar win of the season in front of the U.S. Capitol. President Trump waved the green flag, adding a patriotic moment to the celebration. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. The Treasury Department is putting protections in place to help families keep more of their Trump account investment returns.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says families should not lose investment returns to unnecessary fees. The default fund, a State Street S&P 500 exchange-traded fund, charges just 2 basis points, or 0.02%. Proposed regulations would cap all investment options at 10 basis points. Employers could also contribute up to $2,500 per employee each year, tax-free to workers under the program's rules. Richard Boyd reporting.
The Postal Service is advancing a Trump administration plan to strengthen oversight of mail-in voting, even as the issue moves through the courts. USPS has finalized a rule requiring voter eligibility lists and unique tracking barcodes for federal mail ballots. You'll find more on these stories at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Bob Agnew.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning, good afternoon. I did it again. And welcome to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are joined right now on our newsmaker line by the great Matt Boyle, a good friend and potential press secretary for President Trump. Good morning, good afternoon. Matt, I did it twice. Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon, Mike, and great to be here. Congrats on the new time slot.
Well, the over-under on how many times I would say morning last week was 5, and I hit 10. I've already hit 2 today. So this portion of the program, Matt, is always brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com, located just a few miles from the airport. Because, Matt Boyle, because you're our guest, we're gonna do that afternoon rundown at 2:30. Let's talk a little bit about what you've been up to. And Caroline Leavitt, of course, has left or will be leaving at the end of the month. I recommended to President Trump, because he watches this program all the time, that he should name you as a press secretary. How are we doing on that so far, Matt?
I haven't had any conversations with the president or with the White House about this. I know a lot of serious people out there, included yourself included, have floated my name for it. I'm honored to be part of the discussion. I would say I'm very happy where I am at Breitbart. We're having a record-breaking year here at Breitbart in terms of audience engagement and growth. I'm going around the world interviewing world leaders. Life is very good where I am right now. I just got back from Greece. By the way, when this all happened about the Caroline news, which was shocking because I think she's been amazing as press secretary, but also I totally understand her desire to spend more time with her family. It's a very time-consuming job. I get that. But when I saw when this all news happened, I was over in Greece, actually, and it was my 5th trip there. I've done a lot of stuff with the Greeks. They've been awesome. I've interviewed their prime minister twice. But look, I'm not gunning for it, but if the president ever did call and ask, of course the answer is yes, sir, Mr. President. Any president, by the way. I don't care who they are. I'm a very patriotic person. So if I can ever help my country, I will. So and I know I've got a unique set of skills. I know I would do the job very differently than I think a lot of other people have in the past. We've seen under Caroline's leadership as press secretary a huge focus on the new media and bringing in new voices into the White House briefing room. I was in the new media seat for the first day on the first press briefing in this administration in the White House, and I was there again later when the vice president did a briefing sometime later. And I know that they've had other folks from every briefing features somebody in the new media seat, which is fantastic. My whole career has been in the new media, right? I got my start at Daily Caller, and I've been at Breitbart for close to 15 years now, and honestly, I don't know when we start calling when we stop calling it the new media. I don't know what you call it, but anyway. But I've been in the business now for more than 15 years, and again, like I said, it's been all in the new media, and so I would bring that kind of a perspective to this, right? So I would try to bring in even more voices and really double down, triple down, quadruple down on what President Trump has done. But again, I'm just honored to be part of the discussion and people talking about it. And but again, I haven't had no formal conversations with anybody about it. I have no idea if I'm really being considered or not, and who knows. But the fact that people are out there talking about it is amazing and incredible and a great honor. I think President Trump is one of the most transformational presidents in American history. I think he's going to go down when we look back on this all right up there with George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. He's going to be a top 3 president in American history. And, the fact that I've gotten to know him pretty well over the course of his time in the lead up to and during both of his presidencies. In between them, I've spent a lot of time with him and interviewed him a lot. It's just been a great honor, and honestly, anything I can do to help the cause, I'm going to continue to do. But again, I'm very happy at Breitbart, so I'm not looking for the exits here anytime soon. I'm very happy here.
Well, I looked at the Kalshi prediction markets, Matt, and I think you were like number 7 on the list. I think you had it was like 4%. It should be much higher, in my view. Let me tell you why, Matt. Because you and I worked together for 10 years at Breitbart, from 2012 to 2022, and we started off as colleagues. And then you were my boss, and you were a fantastic boss.
Well, thank you.
No, really, you were.
I know it was tough sometimes, right?
Well, let me tell you about what it's like working with Matt Boyle. For everybody listening, he's tough, he's fact-based, he's fair, and he doesn't get riled. I mean, he's really on point. This is, I think, there's no histrionics with Matt Boyle. It's just, what are the facts, right? Let's get the facts right. Let's get on it. And I think you're very measured. That's a quality that I think that the press secretary needs. Not only are you measured, though, you don't put up with falsehoods, and you slap them down. So, I mean, I can't think of anybody, in my view, who would do a better job as press secretary for President Donald Trump than you, Matt Boyle.
Yeah, Mike, thank you for the very kind words. I really appreciate it. And again, I have no idea what the president's thinking because I haven't talked to him about it. But the point is that if he ever wanted to have a conversation, he's got my number. He can give me a call. We'll have a great conversation about it. Right? I got a million ideas, but at the same time, I'm very happy where I'm at. And
sure.
And also, here's the other thing, right? Again, I know a lot of people across the establishment media were freaking out that they were seeing my name in there and whatnot. But I actually think that a lot of people in the media would actually like it to have a real journalist in the position.
Yes.
We haven't seen a journalist in the position in a long time. When was the last time? Was maybe Jay Carney during Obama, right? And so I know what journalists need.
Well,
I know what they need to do their story.
Hold it, Matt. You said real journalist. I'd go to Tony Snow.
Tony Snow. Okay, there you go.
I'm giving Carney a hard time.
Right, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
Journalists know what journalists need, and they know how. I know what journalists need to do their stories. I know how. I have an eye for news, right? And so I think there's a lot of news in this administration and a lot of stories that don't get told. Frankly, I try to do this from Breitbart. Look, we're doing a big event tomorrow in Washington focused on artificial intelligence. I'm literally, as we speak right now, writing an interview I just did with the Prime Minister of North Macedonia. We're going to publish that hopefully later tonight. These are stories and topics and stuff of all these types of things that don't get covered and they don't get talked about because there's not somebody in there trying to look for this stuff and push it out and get those stories out. So even if, look, whatever the president decides, I'm on board with. Okay, I'm not in this for me. I don't care, right? It's not about me. It's about the cause and about these amazing stories. And I think that there are millions of amazing stories around President Trump. He has this magnetic ability to attract interesting and cool and exciting and different and awesome stuff. And so hopefully whoever it is going to help get those stories out. And I don't know what they're thinking. Again, I haven't had any formal conversations with anybody. A lot of people have reached out since people have been talking about me and saying they would want it to be me, and that's awesome. But again, I'm not gunning for it. I'm very happy where I'm at Breitbart, but I'm honored to be talked about, and I definitely will do anything I can to help the president and to help the cause.
Here's the thing, though, that I want to emphasize again. With your experience in journalism for 15 years and all the great stories you've broken, you understand what it's like to be a journalist. And so I think, Matt, your ability to deal with the regime media, NBC, Caitlin Collins at CNN, who got her start at the Daily Caller as well, I think is extraordinary, and one of the key reasons why I think you're at the very top of the list of those who should be considered for press secretary by the president. Hey, Matt, when we come back, let's hear about Greece, and let's hear about the primary going on in South Carolina.
Sure.
All right, we're talking with the great Matt Boyle, Washington political editor for Breitbart News. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Folks, this is Crime Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Soul Tea. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many, many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Soul Tea for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Soul Tea. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We're talking with our good friend, the great Matt Boyle, the Washington political editor for Breitbart News. Matt, you've spent a lot of time flying back and forth to Greece of late. What's going on in Greece, and what are you covering there?
Well, I mean, of all the major European nations, they're probably the the one that has leaned in most on doing what President Trump is trying to do worldwide. And, they've really taken his message on immigration, on cultural issues, on the defense, et cetera, to heart. And they've more than, even more so than, say, the Italians or the French or the British. I mean, when we think of our top two allies as a nation, we usually think of the French and the British. And the French and the British have been kind of, sticking their fingers in Trump's eyes a little bit. And the Greeks are not, right? Like, I mean, even the Italians wouldn't let us use our military bases during the Operation Epic Fury in Italy, but the Greeks did. And that's really important, by the way, because the last base before you get to the Middle East is right there in Crete, on the island of Crete, which is the biggest Greek island. And it's the big NATO base there that's the last base before you get to the Middle East. And we really need to use that base to do things in the Middle East. And so the fact that the Greeks have been helpful in this regard has been really important. But I've also gotten to know several great young people and, cultural and faith leaders in Greece that have been amazing. I'm working on a huge story. Greeks will know who I'm talking about, but other people might not. But you will when I do publish this story. It's going to be a late this year type of a thing, but I've done, dozens and dozens of interviews. I've made 3 trips now to Crete to meet with this priest. His name is Father Dimitri. He's a really remarkable person, and I feel like I may have found a living saint. And this is somebody who has been cast out by the church establishment because of the fact that he's gotten a lot of attention for doing some really remarkable things. But he has a holy cross that he blesses people with. And this holy cross, I've spoken to dozens of people who faced life-threatening illnesses, and they recovered after he blessed them with this holy cross. And they insist that that's why. And so the meeting these exciting, interesting people has been, a life-changing experience. But and I think, again, a lot of Greek people will know who I'm talking about when I say Father Dimitri, but I think maybe beyond the Greek community or maybe beyond the Orthodox world, they might not know who we're talking about. But I think they're going to when this comes out. It's going to be one of the most remarkable things. So I've been meeting with and interviewing a number of these people who have experienced these miracles. There's a young woman who had a brain aneurysm who nearly died and was literally in a coma after 18 hours of open brain surgery, and her family was on the way to the hospital to pull the plug and kiss her goodbye after 18 days in the coma, and she woke up. And she made a full recovery, and she's living a totally normal life right now. And the doctors are just blown away. She's written a whole book. It's in Greek, though. So this is the thing, is that getting, spending a lot of time with these people, and then, I have to speak with them through translators and whatnot. There's another young woman who had multiple sclerosis and had to be carried by her family members and friends into the church, where Father Dimitri blessed her with the Holy Cross, this church in Athens a few years ago. And after he did that, she got up and walked out of the church. These are remarkable. That's on video, by the way. So, there are these remarkable stories that I'm finding when I'm over there that are really interesting. It's something different that I've never really done before, not political. But there's some exciting geopolitical stuff that's happening there, too. Don't get me wrong. But when I was there this last time, we did a huge feature with the migration minister of Greece, who credited President Trump with initiating a global crackdown on illegal immigration and open borders and returning the world to sane migration policies, right? And he took me inside Greece's Migrant Control Operations Center. People can go see the pictures of that. We did a big story on it a week or so ago. But it was a really exciting thing, and I spent a little time with the vice president of Greece as well. We got a big interview coming with him. He's a real interesting character, very, very pro-Trump, very pro-Trump. There's so many great people there. It's been an amazing experience getting to know them. And then there's these young entrepreneurial business types, who are like, people like my age or younger, and they just care about Western civilization. They want to do anything they can to help it. And so I've been working with several of these people on some really exciting things, and I think you're going to see more and more deeper cooperation with all of us. And there's people like this, by the way, all over the world. There's people like this in Italy. I've been to Italy. There's people like this in the United Kingdom, in Canada, and all over the world. And so I've never been more confident that the good guys are going to win in the fight for Western civilization than I am now.
Well, that is great news, Matt. I look forward to your reporting on that. Let's shift gears a little bit here in the last 5 minutes that we have with your time today, and let's talk about some domestic political issues, in particular the primary runoff for the GOP nomination for the U.S. Senate in South Carolina after the death of Lindsey Graham. President Trump recommended, and the governor appointed his sister to that seat, and she now is running in the runoff against Ralph Norman. She kind of stumbled in a debate appearance talking about national security. What's it look like there tomorrow in South Carolina?
Beats me, man. I have no idea what's going to happen there. So I haven't been back to South Carolina in a long time. So, I've been to South Carolina, just not in a journalist capacity. I love the state of South Carolina. The people there are awesome, but I just haven't really dialed in too much down there. But just watching it from afar, I could see it go either way, right? Like, so I do think that President Trump's endorsement carries an enormous significance in the state of South Carolina in particular, and also the fact that Darlene Graham is Lindsey Graham's sister. Lindsey Graham is a legend, right? And so I could totally see Darlene Graham win. I could also see her lose. That debate stumble was a really bad one, right? That was Lindsey. That's why Lindsey Graham was a legend, because he was great on national security matters,
right?
And so it kind of separates her from her brother, and so I could see Ralph Norman win too. So I don't know, right? Like, so I flip a coin on this one, right? Like, we'll see what happens, and
we'll know tomorrow night sometime.
The exciting thing about elections, right?
Exactly.
Like, you get to see it play out in front of us, right? So it'll be exciting. It's definitely one we're watching here at Breitbart. We've done lots of stories. I've offered to both of the candidates to do stuff with us. I think Ralph Norman did take one of my colleagues up on it and came on radio while I was overseas. Darlene Graham is not. So I don't think that's very bright, right? Like, I think she should. I'd be definitely willing to do a great interview with her, talk all about her brother, talk all about what she wants to do as a senator in the long term. But she hasn't taken us up on it yet, so that's her choice. That's her prerogative. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, elections, midterms, the constant. How's it going to go in the midterms? What's your feeling on the midterms and the House and the Senate?
Again, anything can happen, right? Like, so I don't know. There's a universe of possibility here where the Republicans hold everything and actually add seats in the Senate. There's also a universe of possibility where the Democrats take everything, right? Like, so I think anything is possible right now. I also think that Democrats tend to be overestimated in polls, particularly in August. So I want to see where the numbers are, beginning, middle, even the end of September. And then once the early voting starts at the end of September in a bunch of the key states and the numbers start rolling in, I'll get a much clearer sense. Like, I really know how it's going to go towards the middle of the end of October because of early vote numbers and whatnot, and I compare those up against different previous ones. And, North Carolina gives us some really great data, but North Carolina is a little weird this time in that you've got a really different kind of a Senate race. So I could see all sorts of different possibilities happen. And but I do think it's very possible that Democrats are being overconfident right now and a little bit too cocky. So it's I wouldn't count your chickens before they hatch.
Last point here, Matt. I will be sending to you a review copy of my new ebook, How the Deep State Took Down Richard Nixon. And this is a more detailed, more fully developed argument from the documentary of the same name that we put out last year. And so the ebook is coming out this week, and we're sharing it far and wide we focus, it's sort of, I mean, you followed this, this resurgence of Richard Nixon. We outline a dozen due process violations of the rights of Richard Nixon and the Watergate defendants in a way that has never been out there
let's
before.
get you on the Saturday show, Mike. We'll get you back on there. We haven't had you on in forever. We'll have you on to talk about the book and everything. And just let me know when it's coming out and everything, and then we'll get you on. And also, I would just say, too, that President Trump's coalition and Richard Nixon's coalitions are very, very similar, right? Like, and the things that they're going through are that, you know, Nixon went through and that Trump is going through are also very, very similar, both on a global geopolitical sense and in the domestic stuff as well, and, you know, what the opposition's doing to them and so on and so forth. But I think that to anybody out there that thinks that MAGA or the America First movement is, you know, lives and dies with Trump, and when Trump is gone, that it's gone. No, like I'm telling you right now, the point is that it's been here since the 60s, and before that, you know, we'll be here for another century and longer.
The great Matt Boyle. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to the U.S., and we look forward to talking to you very soon again. Matt Boyle, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Excellent interview. Up next, Tom Papper joins us. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, the website, TennesseeStar.com.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Ponder this. I was a crew member of a sailboat racing team. I should tell you that I never really developed sea legs, so my contributions to the team left a little to be desired. As I recall, on one racing day, the captain put me at the helm. He must have been desperate. During the race, a strong gust of wind came up suddenly. The boat heeled dramatically. I panicked and let go of the helm for fear of being tossed overboard and lost at sea forever. Thank the Lord for the keel, a heavy fin at the bottom of the boat that rights the boat during heavy winds. It remains unseen under the water, but it is a powerful stabilizer during the rough weather. You know, the Lord is like a keel in life. If we turn to Him, especially during turbulent times, He will always guide us to safety. He provides us with stability during rough times in our life if we reach out to Him and ask for help. Run to the Lord in prayer and trust that He will lead you to calmer waters. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with your host, Rick Hughes, every Sunday morning on the John Fredericks Radio Network. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul, built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday morning for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes, heard here every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Honesty, integrity, help Tennessee, markpody.com.
The values that have made Tennessee strong, faith, personal responsibility, freedom, and respect for one another, are rooted in timeless godly principles. Those values are worth protecting, and I'm going to continue fighting to preserve them for our children and grandchildren. I'm Mark Pody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote again.
markpody.com.
Paid for by the campaign to elect Mark Pody.
Candace Graham, Treasurer.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of three who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. We are joined on our Zoom Newsmaker line right now by the great Tom Pappert, winner of the Dow Prize for Best Local Journalism in the country, our lead political reporter. And Tom, welcome. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Always happy to be here, Michael. So we're 1 week in now, and you said afternoon. I think we might be there.
Well, I wasn't in the previous segment where I said the other word twice. But, Tom, because of our special guest, Matt Boyle, we have delayed the afternoon rundown until right now. So we're going to go ahead with the afternoon rundown. Here's the afternoon rundown, which is brought to you every weekday, usually at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, by our very good friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com, located just a few miles from the airport, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So here we go. Here is the afternoon rundown for Monday, August 24th, 2026. Number one, Enes Kanter, former NBA player, wore a T-shirt that just said the definition of a woman, which you would think would be an okay thing to do. But he wore it on the sidelines at a WNBA game. And, well, one of the players for the Chicago Sky took exception to it. And after she hit a long shot, she ran over to him and started yelling at him and screaming at him. And because he was just there, they kicked him out of the stadium, out of the arena. Kind of crazy. Number two, South Carolina primary tomorrow. I think Ralph Norman wins. We'll see over Darlene Graham. Number three, of course, we had Matt Boyle on. I'm recommending to the president that he be picked as the new press secretary. Number four, Mark Pulliam joins us in our second hour for Misrule of Law. And, of course, number five, Tom will be here he's here now. We'll talk in just a minute about flock cameras and ice and craziness like that. Now, the afternoon rundown brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store. Tom, every day you hear me tell you that the Glock Store right here in Nashville, Tennessee, is the home of Second Amendment practitioners anywhere in the United States. On Saturday, September 19th, they're having an incredible event called Force on Force. Now, Force on Force puts you into intense, realistic, live-action scenarios that test your marksmanship and your split-second decision-making skills. You're armed with a Glock 17T. Tom, do you know what the T stands for?
Rain? Oh, no, not training.
It does stand for training.
Oh, okay.
And it fires simunition, not ammunition.
That was the word I was excited about.
Yeah. I love that. Simunition. It'll leave a mark where you hit someone or where you get hit. Now, you go through 2 different real-life-based scenarios and get a professional performance evaluation after each session. This is how special forces, SWAT teams, tactical operators around the world train. And now it's open to the public and available at the Glock store. This will likely be the last force-on-force training event this year. Only 2 sessions available. 15 slots per session. They're almost sold out. For more information, go to glockstore.com/FOF. That's glockstore.com/FOF. Now, that sounds like it's intense and a lot of fun. Don't you think, Tom?
Oh, I bet it's a blast. And I bet you actually learn a lot there that you're not going to learn at pretty much any other gun store.
Exactly right. Okay, flock cameras. Now, have you watched the guy? I think this is the CEO of this flock camera company. He's a smug little punk, it seems to me. And he looks like he's about 12 years old. And we're going to play a little clip of him talking about it. He doesn't seem to care about constitutional rights of privacy at all. He's talking about safety. Let me play this clip, and then I'll get your reaction to this CEO of Flock Cameras, and then some more developments going on across the country and here in the state of Tennessee. Let's play the clip.
I value my privacy. My family values their privacy. My employees value their privacy. But what we're talking about is safety as well. And so I think when people talk about just one of these, privacy or safety, they're prioritizing the wrong thing. And what we have to prioritize as a country is compromise. How do we have our safety and how do we balance privacy? And so when I think about legislation that calls for...
Okay, I got to stop it right now. What we have to prioritize in our country is compromise. I missed that word in the Constitution, Tom Pappert.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin is rolling in his grave. You know, he who would trade a little bit of liberty for an ounce of safety deserves neither. I mean, you wonder when you see some of these young CEOs, these innovators, like, are American schools really that bad, or were you asleep during civics class? And by the way, our radio listeners likely don't know, Mr. Garrett Langley, the CEO of Flock Safety, was on Fox News in that clip you just heard, like the most hostile audience to hearing that sort of line you could possibly imagine. And yet that's who he rolls it out to. I think there's even an argument, Michael, that the technology they have may have a place in modern policing and maybe the only way you can do modern policing. But at this point, I think local police all over the country, and especially in Tennessee, ought to be going to Flock and asking for their money back because they've made this into such a public relations disaster that your local police officer, it could be Andy Griffith. And now people hate him because they think he's got a Flock camera.
Well, yeah, I think that's a good point. Technology is going to move forward. It's just going to move forward. The problem with the flock cameras, and you may recall, people were all excited about license plate readers. Flock cameras are even more intrusive. I am never a fan of license plate readers at the current technology because, you know, I'm not interested in having somebody in Metro Nashville government tracking my movements in Nashville. Well, the flock cameras, I think, are even worse. And Tom, every time there's a story on this, we see something like a police officer has been suspended because he tracked his ex-girlfriend 3,000 times using flock camera technology. That's not exactly what you call safeguards, is it?
No, it's not. And you often will see the proponents of the technology say that there are ways to regulate, to prevent that from ever having happened. And for whatever reason, we're left to understand that these regulations simply are not in place. And so I'm hoping that there's an effort in Tennessee right now between the Sheriff's Association and the Association of Police Chiefs to create regulations for flock cameras. And I, for one, am excited to see if they actually work and if they can ameliorate the these concerns. But with the way Mr. Langley seems to treat the public in that clip, and the way the company treats activists that are opposed to it in other clips that are going viral on social media, I'm just not so certain they have what it takes.
You know, it's funny because you've got some technology issues out there in the public arena. Flock cameras, which apparently, you know, a lot of tech bros love, and apparently a lot of Democrats love, they're awful because there's no guarantee of privacy. It's a huge violation of Fourth Amendment rights of individual citizens. But in contrast, data centers are where a lot of the left are going around, and data centers are critical to develop here in the United States so we can maintain our AI dominance. What's your take on this dichotomy between these two different technologies?
Well, there's even an attempt to marry them, of course, because the Flock Safety's value add for its specific model of license plate reader is that there's an artificial intelligence element that helps identify like a model of your vehicle. So if you've got a ding that you've been meaning to get it ironed out, the Flock camera sees that and adds that into your vehicle's profile so it can identify it, even if you were to, say, change the license plates and spray it to a different color or something to that effect. But I think that technology is optional in the 21st century. After 2020 with George Floyd, we decided we can't do normal proactive policing because it was called racist and they rioted. And so we created this sort of panopticon of Flock cameras and AI surveillance, and that's our runner-up. We don't need that. What we do need, though, is artificial intelligence, because if we don't create it and we don't master it and we don't become the world's leader, then as you've said many times, Michael, China will do it, their buddies in Russia will be number 2, and the United States will become a backwater. I mean, look at what's happening in Europe. In the United Kingdom, they can't afford to create artificial intelligence because they don't have the cheap energy. And as a result, it's becoming more and more of, in my opinion, it's sliding into a backwater. You're going to see this all throughout Europe. We don't want that in America. The Chinese have been planning for, 26 years now. It's going to be the Chinese millennium. This would be their opportunity to do it. If we cut off innovation in artificial intelligence, it's like it's cutting off your nose to spite your face, and then China wins.
Ironically, you talked about the United Kingdom, where they don't have enough money to build the data centers for AI. They do have enough money to put cameras all over London and track people there. How George Orwell 1984 is that, Tom Pappert?
Well, and again, they don't seem to be doing much with it. That's the other thing. We're told these Flock cameras make you safer, and I certainly hope they do. But they do have technology like this in the United Kingdom. You see it at the airports most often on social media, but it exists throughout the city. And yet, it seems a week can't go by without one of the Muslim migrants to the UK creating some sort of horrible, tragic headline. So the cameras don't seem to be working because the people who access them don't use them the right way.
Yeah. Tom Pappert, when we come back, ICE call centers. Apparently, that's now the big political issue in Nashville, Tennessee, and other blue cities. Really? Why? Back with Tom Pappert after this.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
I spent my career building a business, but I couldn't stand by while Washington spent money it didn't have. So I got in the fight, and I never forgot who elected me. This election is about the America we pass on to your family and mine. We inherited freedom. Now it's our turn to defend it, to strengthen it, and to leave America stronger than we found it. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman, and I approve this message.
It's here, it's here. The new JFMN TV app is ready and live. Download now from the App Store and Google Play. Then watch live all day. Weekdays get JFred 6 a.m. Game on America Sports 6 p.m. with Bell, Carson, and Leahy in between. Plus the Saturday morning shows. Search and download JFMN.TV from the App Store or Google Play. Get the alerts so you don't miss nothing. The new JFMN TV app is ready and live in the App Store and Google Play. Get it today.
Ponder this. How many times have you heard that freedom means doing whatever you want as long as we don't hurt anyone else? On its face, this sounds pretty reasonable. But when you think about it, everything you do has an impact on someone or something. Let's say we overindulge in drinking. The immediate impact may be that we cannot get to work on time the next morning or even at all. Let's say we eat whatever we want, whenever we want. When health problems ensue later in life, your family, your friends, and your community may be impacted. For every action, there is a reaction, and this is Newton's law of physics. But it applies to our spiritual life as well. Being truly free means doing God's will in every decision that we make. This means we must know God's will by following His commandments and talking with Him in our daily life. Pray, trust, and persevere in following God's will for you every day. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. We're talking with Tom Pappert. Tom, only in a blue city, even in a red state, only in a blue city would the leaders be upset with a contract to establish a call center in that city for a federal agency. Lay this all out for us, because it sounds like it's in the land of, Alice in Wonderland, Kafka-esque stupidity.
Well, Michael, the story actually goes back to November of last year when the Tennessee Star reported, because we do things like check federal databases, that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security wanted to build an ICE call center in Nashville. And they said in a request for proposals, they were putting it out, they wanted bids from the public. And they said in their RFP that they were going to create a call center that would mostly serve local law enforcement that signed 287 G agreements that allow local police to perform certain immigration tasks. They said it was going to field 7,000 calls per day. It was going to operate basically 24 hours a day on multiple shifts. And essentially going to bring tons of jobs to Nashville in the process. Well, it took a little longer than anticipated. They thought the doors were going to open in March and it was going to be fully operational in June. Instead, because government is government, they announced this month that the contract has been provided, the call center is coming, and Nashville Democrats proceeded to lose their mind. A member of the Metro Nashville Council by the name of Jeff Gregg claimed that he was blindsided and that nobody in the city had any idea it was coming. Well, I guess you don't read.
Tom. He obviously did not read our article from November. Right?
That's right. I guess he doesn't read the Tennessee Star, but he also
Oh.
doesn't read the liberal outlets, because after we covered it, or right around the same time, the Nashville Scene put out their own version of an article. So there was no way for this to be a surprise for an avid newsreader. But Mayor Freddie O'Connell's office, through a spokesman, said the same thing. He said that they were still trying to figure out exactly what was going to happen inside the call center.
Oh, give me a break. It's a call center. What happens in a call center?
They're not referring to it as a call center. They're pretending they don't know. They're just saying it's going to be an ICE facility in order, in my opinion at least, to make it sound very scary.
Well, but they don't have anything to do with, stopping the enforcement of federal law or state law. There's a state law now that says they have to cooperate with ICE, right? Local sheriffs have to cooperate with ICE. This is kind of more Democrat theater of the absurd, it seems to me.
I think that's exactly right. And the evidence that supports that hypothesis, I think, comes from the Tennessee Immigrant Refugee Resource Coalition, which we have talked about a lot on this program because they've received $735,000 in a grant from Metro Nashville. They previously received millions of dollars in federal tax dollars from Biden's American Rescue Plan Act. And what they said is that this is going to result in terror in Nashville. And apparently Afton Ben, the kind of crazy Democrat that ran in a special election last year, she liked this because she repeated it. She said that this is how they're going to spread their terror in the city of Nashville. So, by the way, ICE has like a 1,700% increase in attacks on its agents, as multiple Nashville Democrats and nonprofits refer to them as terrorists.
Terror, huh? Enforcement of Democrats in Nashville and around the country are saying enforcement of immigration law by a federal agency is terror. George Orwell actually understated the problem back in 1984, it seems to me. I mean, can you imagine what it would be like if the bad government of Metro Nashville were to spread throughout the state of Tennessee, and if that level of governing was in charge of the entire federal bureaucracy of the United States of America?
Well, I think that Tennessee would very quickly begin to look a lot like a California or a Maryland or a Virginia. And those last two states, by the way, have just been part of a major federal immigration enforcement action. They've arrested over 1,700 people in just 1 week. So that's what Tennessee would have to look forward to if the contagion were to spread from Nashville.
So where's this going to go? When will the ICE call center open here in Nashville?
Well, they haven't said, because of this new timeline, exactly when it's going to open, but I think we're looking at a matter of months. They've already started hiring the management level staffers, and the company that was selected to do it, it's one of these specializes in federal contracting companies based in Alaska, but they do seem to have a track record of completing their projects for ICE in a timely fashion. Michael, I would be very surprised if we're not seeing these doors open by the end of this year. And maybe Freddie O'Connell will go make an appearance or join a protest or something like that. He seems to be desperate to make sure he can win his next election.
So I'll tell you what, we'll send an invitation out to Fidel Freddie Antoinette O'Connell, and I will go there and I will do a ribbon cutting. We'll get Mark Wayne Mullen or Tom Homan to come there. I'll do a ribbon cutting, and we will invite Fidel Freddie Antoinette O'Connell to come along. He can protest if he would like, but I think that facility is going up, and he can cry alligator tears as much as we care. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Michael. I'll forward the idea to my contact at ICE.
Please do. Please do. I'm going to cut the ribbon there. All right. Mark Pulliam with Misrule of Law, the best legal analyst in the United States of America, joins us next. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, the website, TennesseeStar.com.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
The establishment has already picked their candidate. Same old playbook, same old insiders. I'm not their choice. And this election is not for sale. The stakes are too high for political games. The Socialist Democrats are a threat to America. South Carolina needs a proven conservative with a record of fighting for you. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman. I approve this message, and I'm asking for your vote.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio Show.
This is WJFN, Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFV, Portsmouth.
News this hour at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The Trump administration is launching a big new economic campaign against Iran.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is announcing a major new sanctions effort targeting the Iranian regime.
Today, we are launching Operation Economic Outcast to foreclose every other option available to the Iranian regime. Beginning today, the actions of Treasury and other agencies will tighten the noose and block every potential source of revenue that funds the IRGC and the evil Iranian regime.
The move expands the administration's financial pressure campaign as Iran's currency continues to collapse. Willie Nelson, the White House.
The Iranian rial has collapsed to an historic low against the U.S. dollar, now trading at about 2 million rials per U.S. dollar. The dollar is more than double against the rial over the past year under tightening American sanctions. Commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is increasing, signaling that Iran's ability to control the vital waterway may be slipping away. John Scott reports nearly 200 ships crossed the strait last week, up from 40 just 2 weeks ago.
More than 80% of liquid cargoes reportedly used an Oman-backed internationally authorized route that Iran rejects or traveled with tracking systems disabled. Ships are using the U.S.-backed Omani route to bypass Iran's transit fee demands, while hugging Oman's coast and disabling tracking systems to reduce the risk of Iranian interference, a security approach backed by the Trump administration. The increase includes oil tankers, a development that could ease supply concerns and put downward pressure on energy prices. John Scott reporting.
The administration is taking emergency action to expand gasoline supplies and lower prices at the pump. Starting September 1st, the EPA will temporarily allow E10 gasoline to be sold with a higher vapor pressure limit that effectively ends the federal summer blend restrictions early this year. More of these stories at townhall.com.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
The Houston Astros have dismissed the team's general manager.
Dana Brown is out as Astros general manager. The team announced on Monday Brown's contract was set to expire at the end of this season. Brown's responsibilities will be assumed by Astros assistant GMs Charles Cook, Gavin Dickey, and Connor Huff, and by senior advisor Jeff Bagwell. Astros owner and chairman Jim Crane will oversee baseball operations through the transition period. Houston enters Monday tied with the Rangers for first place in the AL West, despite having a record of 65 and 66. I'm Mike Reeves.
The bodies of 5 people were found on a rural property outside Portland, and authorities said Sunday it was being investigated as a quintuple homicide. The Washington County Sheriff's Office said authorities initially responded early Saturday to reports of a vehicle fire at a property in Forest Grove. That's about 30 miles west of downtown Portland. You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Republicans could receive a major boost from Elon Musk as the next midterm elections draw nigh. Here's correspondent Andrew Stewart.
Musk may reportedly spend as much as $200 million supporting Republican candidates and voter turnout efforts nationwide. This potentially dwarfs the $70 million Musk spent during the 2024 campaign. The spending could come as the GOP holds a major cash advantage over Democrats. The RNC reportedly has a $115 million lead in cash on hand, while the DNC faces significant debt. Andrew Stewart reporting.
An Alabama jury has ordered the New York Times to pay more than $9 million to a former University of Alabama basketball player for defamation. The jury found the Times falsely linked Kai Spears to a fatal 2023 shooting based on an unnamed source. You'll find more on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Oh boy. It's hour 2 of our program on a Monday. That means we have a treat for everybody. We have here in studio on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, the very best legal analyst in the country, the one, the only, Mark Pulliam. Welcome, Mark.
It's always good to be here.
Well, you know, I say this because you were a partner at a big law firm, and you were like, you know, high up there. You got the job done. And some of these legal analysts, they would never make it a partner. In fact, maybe the only thing they do is yak on, you know, on media about legal issues. Well, gee, going to night law school, I can yak on issues as well as many of them, but I don't have the chops that a retired partner at a big law firm like you.
Well, what keeps people silent is, you know, some of them get acculturated into the big law mentality, and some of them, you know, make friends. They don't want to alienate their friends and former colleagues, and then some of them are just afraid to speak up because this monster, this blob that's been created over the last 3 or 4 or 5 decades just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more powerful and more voracious in its appetite for power. And so, you know, we've talked about a lot of things over the past year. You know, we've talked about John Eastman getting disbarred in California, and then a lot of these other forms of attorney discipline. And that's sort of the enforcement arm of this blob of you got the activist judges, you've got the leftist law professors, you got the woke law firms, and they all kind of work in concert. But they've reached, last week, I thought, a new troubling high watermark of dangerous, aggressive behavior to stifle dissent and to crush their opponents. And I used a trite metaphor that we've crossed the Rubicon.
We have crossed the Rubicon.
But I think we have crossed the Rubicon.
Okay, so for those of you who are a little slow on your Roman history, Rubicon was the river in northern Italy. And the tradition in Rome was that a general would never bring his army after he'd gone out and conquered various, you know, foreign countries, a Roman general would never bring his army across the Rubicon into Rome. And Julius Caesar, having won in Gaul, saw there was trouble afoot, and he brought his army across the Rubicon. And that really was the end of the Roman Republic, if you get to it.
There you go.
So that's the phrase.
So you can say whatever you want to say about the Ivy Leagues now, but back in the day, they taught things. Okay, so why am I talking about the Rubicon? Well, so what happened last week that's more troubling than all the other stuff that we're used to hearing? So if you look back the last couple of years of all the attorneys working for conservative causes that have been silenced or have been the subject of disciplinary actions by their state bars, Rachel Alexander, your former reporter, who took her expertise and turned it into, she was covered every day of the Eastman
trial, every day.
Every day. We had Rudy Giuliani got cited with a bar complaint. Sidney Powell, of course, John Eastman, where they took him all the way to the railroad station.
The California Kangaroo Court, basically.
Jenna Ellis, Jeff Clark, Ed Martin. And then we spent several shows talking about this circus with the Trump v. IRS case and the settlement of that, where this lawyer, the Obama appointee Kathleen Williams down in the Southern District of Florida, referred a whole passel of lawyers, the Trump family's personal lawyer and several high-level DOJ lawyers, including Stanley Woodward, to their respective bar associations because there's something awful has gone on here. Okay, so you could say...
Allegedly.
So you could say, how could it get any worse than that? Well, it has gotten worse than that.
How has it gotten worse than that?
Well, let me tell you. So Norm Eisen, who's one of these very powerful lawyers who mostly operates behind the scenes. He's got a whole flotilla of these dark money-funded NGOs with crazy self-serving names. He has orchestrated many of these previous bar complaints, but usually they're pretty straightforward. You have somebody, some individual file a bar complaint. They got David Brock with this the 65 Project. That was all pretty out in the open, and you could look at that and say, well, that's just naked partisanship. Anything David Brock is involved in is just naked partisanship. But what Norm Eisen orchestrated last week is he got 128 former state and federal judges to combine and to sign on to a bar complaint against James Percival, who is, again, a name that most people are not familiar with.
He's the general counsel for the Department of Homeland Security.
It's exactly right. So he is the point man for all of this immigration-related litigation. And in particular, he was the point man on all of this temporary protected status litigation, which, notwithstanding a crystal clear statute, when President Trump went to withdraw TPS status for a half a dozen or more third world countries, there was a whole flurry of litigation. Went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court issued a 6-3 decision that could not have been clearer that says President Trump has the absolute unreviewable authority to withdraw TPS designation at any time he wants for any reason he wants.
It's right there in the law. That's what the law says. Yeah.
And so you would expect the next day all of these district judges who had cases before them, and they were spread around the country, but a lot of them were up in Boston, that they would just say, okay, the Supreme Court has spoken, I'm dismissing this case, and I'm turning it over to the Department of Homeland Security to do whatever they can and should do with a bunch of people who no longer have a legal right to be in the United States. Instead, this bunch of judges, and we spent a lot of time talking about it, found all kinds of ways to foot drag and delay and postpone and come up with administrative stays. And then when the First Circuit said you can't do that, the Supreme Court has spoken, they continued to drag their feet. Okay, while this was going on, James Percival was not sitting around on his hands. He was saying basically the same things that I was saying on this show, except nobody's trying to pull my law license but Norm Eisen with his posse, his proxy group of 128 former state and federal activist judges. What are they doing? They're going to try to knock James Percival out. And so they file this complaint.
What's the basis of the complaint?
Well, their stated basis is that he violated Florida Rule of Professional Conduct 4-8.2a, which says that a lawyer shall not make a statement that the lawyer knows to be false or with reckless disregard as to its truth or falsity concerning the qualifications or integrity of a judge. And so basically James Percival was saying that these judges were shamefully refusing to perform their duty, that he basically calling them out for being activist judges. So they're saying that a lawyer is not allowed to complain about or criticize the decisions or actions of a judge, no matter how egregious, no matter how lawless, no matter how ridiculous. And this shows how brazen this blob has become. And not just some random lawyer, but the guy who's general counsel of the Department of Homeland Security. Now,
here's the deal. That complaint, in the end, he's going to win that, but he's going to get tied up for a couple of years dealing with it.
Well, and the reason he's going to win that is because he's in Florida.
Boom. Back with more. The best legal analyst in the country, the one, the only, Mark Pulliam, after this. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, the website, TennesseeStar.com.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are a $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
I spent my career building a business, but I couldn't stand by while Washington spent money it didn't have. So I got in the fight, and I never forgot who elected me. This election is about the America we pass on to your family and mine. We inherited freedom. Now it's our turn to defend it, to strengthen it, and to leave America stronger than we found it. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman, and I approve this message.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98. Queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pier 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of 3 who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Our guest, Mark Pulliam, the official legal analyst for the Star News Network and the best legal analyst in the country. So, Mark, it sounds to me like this Norm Eisen character wants to basically destroy the First Amendment rights of any attorney he doesn't agree with.
Well, that begs the question of what First Amendment rights do attorneys have? And this is surprisingly unclear. And so I read briefly this Florida Rule of Professional Conduct. Every one of the states has a similar code of ethics for lawyers, and they all have, in one way or another, some prohibition against attorneys making unfair criticisms of judges.
Yeah, but it's not just unfair criticism. It's more. Read the last bit of that of what they're prohibited from doing.
Okay, to make rules. Statements that are false or with reckless disregard as to the truth or falsity concerning the integrity of a judge.
See, okay, with reckless disregard concerning the integrity of a judge, you can, if you say that was a bad decision, I disagree with the decision, you're not questioning their integrity, you're questioning their legal capability.
Well, you're
intelligence.
Not. Well, but when a judge does something that's so egregiously wrong that they're almost like they're deliberately refusing to follow the law, you could say that that's integrity, or you could say that it's a disqualifying feature because they are simply not following the law. So I think it's very dangerous to have in any code of ethics any restriction on speech by lawyers against judges. Judges are just government officials. They make decisions that can very powerfully affect people's lives. If the county mayor or a county commissioner or a state legislature made a bad decision, everybody, including attorneys, would be entitled to complain about it, write letters to the editor, get on TV, podcasts, whatever, and criticize them. That's the essence of the First Amendment, is that you get to criticize government actors doing a bad job. And judges, just because they wear black robes, are not, some kind of Mandarin class that the rest of us have to bow down to. And that's what I think is the most offensive part of this, is that this notion. And the other thing that they their complaint that they filed in Florida was 28 pages long.
The complaint was filed with?
I think it was with the Florida Supreme Court, which oversees the state bar.
So the rules that you just put out there, these are rules that are adopted by the Florida Supreme Court.
Ultimately,
right?
Yes.
And but the legislature gives them authority to promulgate rules of conduct for attorneys.
Right, and they delegate some of this to the state bar, which is a quasi-governmental organization. They have final approval over this. Mm-hmm. So you have state action. And so if it came to pass that in Florida, as it has happened in California, that they're going to tell James Percival, that you are no longer allowed to practice law because you have unfairly criticized these rogue federal judges. And I will say this, everything that James Percival said is 100% true, 100% accurate, and needed to be said. And when you are talking about censoring not just a random lawyer, but the lawyer who is in charge of the Department of Homeland Security, that is over the top. And so in their Barr complaint, they said not only has he said these things and they were mean and they were unwarranted, but he's put these judges' safety at risk.
Okay, give me a break.
Well, give me a break is right. First of all, you know, that these are federal judges. They work in a highly secure courthouse. They have, you know, all kinds of marshals and this and that. But they don't stand for election. It's not like they have to go out and campaign.
They have a lifetime appointment.
And
the
left now has become so concerned about the safety of judges. Well, what about when Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader at the time, stood in front of the Supreme Court and brazenly and explicitly threatened Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh that if you reverse Roe versus Wade, you are going to pay the price? They didn't say anything about that. No Barr complaints were filed. And then, lo and behold, 2 years later, after the draft decision in Dobbs was, you know,
prematurely released,
illegally
released, in my view,
an armed wacko shows up at night at Brett Kavanaugh's house with a loaded gun and plans to kill him. You know, basically doing what Chuck Schumer was directing. That Amy, you know, and then some group released the home addresses of the Supreme Court justices, and you had noisy protests out there all hours of the day and night. Amy Coney Barrett got swatted. That, you know,
she's intimidated. She's been intimidated by
it
this.
might be intimidating to have the SWAT team show up because somebody has made a bogus call. So where were these liberals when this was happening? They talk about the independence of the judiciary.
Yeah.
Well, they applauded when all of their team went in and slimed Robert Bork and Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh, obviously for the purpose of keeping somebody from being confirmed solely on the basis of their ideology. How does that square with the independence of the judiciary? They're total hypocrites, and they're power-hungry hypocrites, and that's the most dangerous form of hypocrite. So what I hope is that this frames the issue for the Supreme Court, who will be considering John Eastman's petition for certiorari to review his disbarment in California, to emphasize how critically important it is that lawyers as a group have the same First Amendment rights as any other citizen, as you and I have sitting here today to say whatever we want about these unfit activist judges who are dragging their feet and frustrating the enforcement of federal immigration laws, which imperils the survival of our republic, in my opinion, and doing it without any legal basis whatsoever. And the fact that they've been reversed and reversed and reversed by the Supreme Court shows that the whole lot of them have been engaged in frivolous litigation with these frivolous district court decisions. Somebody has to be able to call them out. And if it's not the General Counsel of the Department of Homeland Security, who is it going to be? So I hope this wakes up the 9 justices on the Supreme Court and they take seriously the importance of John Eastman's petition for certiorari, that if you take First Amendment protection away from lawyers, you have basically caved in and given, you know, surrendered to this blob. And I was looking for a appropriate metaphor, and we remember when President Eisenhower left office, he warned about the dangers of the military-industrial complex. That, you know, if we have the standing army and all this, that eventually our government's going to be controlled by these people who sell munitions, and he called it the Iron Triangle. I think we have something very similar going on with this alliance between activist judges, hyper-partisan lawyers, left-wing bar functionaries, and looking for some way to call it. I would call this the legal warfare complex. And instead of having the Iron Triangle, we have the Swamp Triangle.
Ooh, yeah.
And so this is something that, boy, it caught my attention when I saw it last week, and my blood was boiling all weekend the more I thought about it.
Well, we are here to provide therapy for that blood boiling.
Yeah.
But also you bring the goods, you bring the receipts, and you bring the passion to describe it. You mentioned John Eastman, who was disbarred by a state court in California. That's the only state where they do a state court. And it was a kangaroo court.
Yep.
I mean, we had Rachel Alexander out there.
That's an insult to kangaroos.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. He is now applying for a certiorari before the Supreme Court. What are the odds of them taking it up?
Well, I'm going to be an optimist here because otherwise it would be, depressing. But he's got Jay Sekulow with this, what is it, American
Civil Liberties or
Justice
Center for Law and Justice.
Yeah.
Here,
and he's a pretty smart guy. He's had
Yeah.
good results in the Supreme Court. So this is an issue that if you go back pre-Trump, everybody was talking about how important First Amendment rights are for lawyers. And even some of these lefties were writing about this. And that's why you have lawyer advertising, because the Supreme Court has given them First Amendment rights and this and that. Even Chemerinsky, the dean at Berkeley, was talking about how lawyers have to have the right to talk about cases during trial.
So when are we going to know if the Supreme Court's going to take it up?
I'm not sure the petition has been filed yet.
Oh, okay.
But
so a bit.
We won't know anything until they get back together
in October.
But this is so critically important, and not just for John Eastman, but for the entire legal profession and for America. Because lawyers play an important role. They should and can play an important role. The left has very powerful lawyers, and we need to have our side being able to speak
Absolutely.
up.
When we come back, speaking of building and growing lawyers, what's going on with law schools and the ABA? American Bar Association. Back with Mark Pulliam after this. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. The website, TennesseeStar.com.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Solti, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
And they're off. This summer, the Thunder returns to Colonial Downs Racetrack. Live thoroughbred racing June 25th through September 7th. Feel the excitement. Hear the roar of the crowd. Experience Virginia's premier horse racing destination every Thursday through Sunday all summer long. Bring the whole family for Family Fun Sundays, packed with activities for all ages. Parking? Free. General admission? Free. Memories? Priceless. Make Colonial Downs Racetrack your new summer fun time tradition. Get tickets and race day info now at colonialdowns.com.
August 17th, big changes are coming to the John Fredericks Media Network. John Fredericks, your Godzilla of Truth, starts the day from 6 to 10. Wendy Bell follows from 10 to noon. Rob Carson staying put at noon to 3. Michael Patrick Leahy moves to 3 o'clock, followed by Katz and Cosby at 5. America's new boss for conservative talk is the John Fredericks Media Network.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the wellness company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message. Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Honesty, integrity, help Tennessee, markpody.com.
The values that have made Tennessee strong, faith, personal responsibility, freedom, and respect for one another, are rooted in timeless godly principles. Those values are worth protecting, and I'm going to continue fighting to preserve them for our children and grandchildren. I'm Mark Pody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote again.
markpody.com.
Paid for by the campaign trail like Mark Pody.
Candace Graham, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Well, Mark Pulliam, our official Star News Network legal analyst. The American Bar Association, they accredit all these law schools, and they've gone far left. You've got some news about this.
Well, yes. And so when we talk about how bad the legal profession has become and the whole, practice of law, it's an industry really. People want to know, well, why is it that way? And it's a complicated problem, and there's a lot of contributing factors. But one of the main factors is that in the last 30 or 40 years, legal education, legal academia has been taken over by crazy radicals. And now the 3-year program of study at most law schools, and certainly the ones that we consider to be elite law schools, it's total indoctrination.
Mm-hmm.
And students pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, go deeply into debt in order to be indoctrinated by crazy people. And then when they graduate, what are they? They are they want to be activists. Now, most of them can't afford to go to work for legal aid, so they go to work for big, fancy law firms that are paying them $200,000 a year to start, but they hate their work, and so they have to do this pro bono. Anyway,
and the pro bono is almost always for some left-wing cause.
It's almost always.
Yeah.
Okay. And so people want to know, well, okay, you're surely exaggerating. Law schools can't be that bad. So something this past week I read, is the perfect illustration of how bad it is.
How bad is it, Mark?
Well, okay, so the University of Pennsylvania, it may be that people in Cambridge do not view University of Pennsylvania as a true Ivy League school, but
it is.
It's considered an Ivy League school.
Top 10, top 20 law school.
No, it's a very good law school, and used to be.
Elizabeth Warren taught there for a while. That's when she first discovered she was, quote, Native American.
Well, so she went to Rutgers Law School, which is not considered a highly rated law school.
No, she went to Rutgers Newark Law School, which is like, on the ratings, it was like 250 out of 260, something like that.
And then she ended up, was teaching at the University of Houston, and what really dragged her out of the muck and put her in the spotlight was, this is after I graduated, the University of Texas Law School hired her.
You know why?
And well, because her
husband was there.
Yeah,
she was a tag-along spouse.
Yeah. Well, anyway, then she kind of discovered her Native American origins, and she was off to the races. Well, anyway, so at the University of Pennsylvania, it turns out that they have a lecturer there named Robert Salim Holbrook, and he teaches a class called Community Lawyering to End Mass Incarceration. And the gist of there's a whole body of scholarship, if you can call it that, people who believe that they call it the carceral state.
The carceral state, oh my goodness.
So that basically it's wrong to put anybody behind bars, no matter how evil or heinous or dangerous they are. And so he's teaching about how these people, when they graduate from law school, can work to dismantle the prison system, because it's all an apparatus of our racist, capitalist, patriarchal, oppressive society.
I'm getting a headache just hearing all this.
Well, but at least you have to say this guy knows his subject, because Holbrook spent 27 years in a Pennsylvania state prison, and that's because he pled guilty to a home invasion robbery that resulted in a woman's murder, and he'd still be in prison because he was sentenced to life without parole. He'd still be in prison unless, but for a Supreme Court decision that said that mandatory life without parole sentences for juvenile offenders were unconstitutional. So he was resentenced and got out, and so now he's the executive director.
Hold on. Why did the University of Pennsylvania hire this convicted felon and convicted murderer?
Because he's the same reason that Cambridge, or what was it Oxford, that hired
this Jason Ardrey guy?
Yeah. Well, because he's interesting and he's woke and he's left wing. So anyway, this guy's a kook and a nut, and but he's been hired there, and he's considered to be edgy. And he's opposed to policing, courts, jails. All of it's bad. All criminal laws are bad. Okay, so he's also, and they often go hand in hand, he's virulently anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas.
Really? I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you might think, well, Penn, they just want to have some diversity of point of view. But let's take the case of Professor Amy Wax.
At Penn.
Yeah. Who used to hold an endowed chair. And so she's very unusual, her background. Before she became a lawyer, she graduated from Harvard Medical School and was a practicing neurologist. And then she went to Columbia Law School, where she was very distinguished. Before she went to either one of these, I think she was a Marshall Scholar, studied at Oxford. She worked in the Justice Department and the Solicitor General's office, argued 15 cases in the Supreme Court.
This is a smart person.
This is a very smart person. And she has tenure at Penn. This is the kind of person that any decent law faculty would be crawling over broken glass to get her. Anyway, they got her, but now she's a pariah at Penn. And her fall from grace began almost 10 years ago when she and another law professor, not at Penn, wrote an op-ed for the Philadelphia Inquirer talking about how important bourgeois values are. And
that was her sin?
That was her sin. So just talking about how if everybody graduated from high school, didn't have children before they were married, had gainful employment, avoided using drugs or alcohol in an irresponsible manner, and obeyed the law and didn't get arrested, that's almost a guarantee that you would not be in poverty and you would not be part of the underclass. And talked about, that's why they call them bourgeois values, because these are the values that bourgeois societies learned to cultivate and follow. Well, lo and behold, this was extraordinarily controversial when she wrote about it. And because the mindset at these elite schools, and Penn kind of considers itself elite school, is that all of these social pathologies are not the result of moral agency on part of anybody. It's all society's fault. And so all these things that she's talking about that you could avoid if you had good habits, well, no, that gets our racist society off the hook, and you're blaming the victim. And so her students had an uproar. They complained that half of the people on the Penn faculty signed a letter condemning her for talking about the importance of bourgeois values. Well, that was just a warm-up. And she's not the kind of person that's going to back down, and she has tenure. So she continued to speak out, and one of the things she spoke out about is the manifest failure of affirmative action. And she would say, I've been teaching her a long time, and in my experience, blacks admitted to Penn under affirmative action are not able to compete successfully with students who were selected on the basis of academic merit, and you can see it in their class placement, their test scores, exam results, and so forth. And of course, that sent people into hysteria. And so what they did was they said, you can't teach any first-year courses anymore because first-year students can't pick and choose.
They're too tender.
They're too tender, and plus you would get saddled with something you didn't have any choice over. Now, if they want to take you for an elective later on, they could do that. But they're treating these people like snowflakes. They took her endowed chair away from her, and then
how can they do that?
Well, because that's not part of so they're not firing her. So she's going to get whatever her faculty salary was without the benefit of this endowment. These deans have a lot of discretion over the faculty. And so all of this is in litigation now. And it may be that she's going to get reinstated back to where she was. But the climate there, all of her students hate her. Most of the faculty hate her. The dean, in particular, has it out for her.
Yeah, the dean has it out for her.
Yeah. So this is legal academia today, where they have convicted murderers lecturing the students about how to get rid of the carceral state. But if you are a world-class scholar, you get kicked to the curb. Okay, and so you might wonder, well, how does this all happen? Well, one of the ways it happens is that the ABA,
American Bar Association,
in the guise of its accreditation authority over law school, basically makes them turn into monkey houses where the lunatics are in charge of the asylum. And we talked about this at the University of Kentucky, that the trustees had picked this retired federal judge to be dean, and people on the faculty were suing to stop it because under the ABA accreditation guidelines, the faculty has to approve. Well, what kind of business?
You can't do that.
It's ridiculous, but that's part of the ABA accreditation standards. They require all kinds of things, including you have to have affirmative action to have racial balance in your admitted classes. You have to teach left-wing stuff because that's important for diversity and inclusion. They've created a social justice academy situation instead of teaching people how to practice law, which is all law schools are for.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that President Trump did last week, or his Department of Education, is took the first step towards removing the ABA. So whether the accreditation of law schools for purposes of taking the bar exam, that's not something that the Department of Education has any authority over. That's something the state Supreme Courts and all the 50 states do. But what the Department of Education does is determine which law schools are eligible for federal student loans. And if your law school is not accredited by the ABA, the Department of Education will not loan you money for federal student loans, which is pretty darn important. And in most cases, that would put the law school out of business if it was not accredited. So I've always wondered, why is the Department of Education, even under Republican presidents, continuing to grant this power to the ABA?
They're about to take it away.
They're about to take it away. God bless President Trump.
And Linda McMahon, Secretary of Education.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to shift gears. We're going to put sport, law, and journalism together in the WNBA. Enos Kanter Freedom can't wear a T-shirt that says "What's a woman?" At a WNBA event. Back after this.
Ponder this. I've recently noticed that the way a person drives may have a direct correlation to their personality. I'm pretty confident that most of you have witnessed this as well. We see courteous drivers. These are people who allow others to change lanes when safety permits. Courteous drivers usually use their turn signals to gesture to others their intentions. They stop at red lights and pay attention when waiting for a red light to go green. There are other drivers who are not so courteous, even aggressive, and get defensive when others try to change lanes. These drivers tend to get angry at others to the point of road rage. What does your driving signal to others? Do you show love and kindness to fellow drivers as the Lord would want you to do? Or do you lose control and take your anger out on others? We are called to be charitable to others even when they don't extend charity to us. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Folks, this is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Soul Tea. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many, many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Soul Tea for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Soul Tea. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
Wagering at its finest, playing at the highest levels, under the highest stakes for more than a decade. This is the world Past the Wire has conquered, bringing you uncompromised thoroughbred authority and elite track data that anchors the game. But the modern wagering landscape is expanding. Every sport, every line, every prop, and every high leverage future, we decode the metrics across the entire board. From game day spreads to the explosive new frontier of prediction markets and event contracts, we give you intelligence to dominate the modern financial exchanges. Because in the end, it's a battle. You versus the house. You versus the other players. In this arena, we fight with you. We are your ultimate edge. Welcome to the Ultimate Wagering Network. Subscribe to Past the Wire TV and turn on notifications, because when the dust settles,
nobody does it better.
Saturday morning, 6 on the radio, 11 on JFMN.TV.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of 3 who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Okay, we'll talk a little sports. So the WNBA is, a boring league with boring games until recently, and they've lost tons and tons and tons of money. They're financed by the NBA. The only thing interesting about it is the whole Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham combo, and the games are bad. Caitlin Clark's pretty good. Sophie Cunningham's pretty fun to watch. And then now, a couple of former NBA players, because they could make more money playing in the WNBA than elsewhere, have declared that they are trans women and want to play in the league. One of them, Enos Kanter-Freedom, who played in the NBA for like 11 years, showed up at a Chicago Sky Indiana Fever game. Caitlin Clark plays for the Indiana Fever. Sophie Cunningham does. The Fever won, and Caitlin had like 37 points. It was pretty much a blowout. But so there he is, Enos, who now is calling himself a woman for the purposes of getting drafted by the WNBA. He's wearing a T-shirt that says woman, noun, adult, human, female. Now let's go to the tape right now and see what happened next as he's standing there on the sideline. So there you go. A woman from the Chicago Sky hits a basket and then comes over and yells at him in the stands on the sideline, and basically says, the announcer from the WNBA says she's just expressing her truth or something like that. Meanwhile, they kick him out.
Yeah,
because he's just wearing this shirt, and he's trolling.
He's trolling.
So is this a violation of his First Amendment rights?
Well, it's a private venue, and it's not a First Amendment forum, and so I don't know if we want to suck.
They can kick anybody out
or enforce certain standards. They had about a week ago a mother and daughter showed up at a game with one of these
XXXY.
Yeah,
t-shirts.
And we're told you had to cover that up. What this shows is that the WNBA is extraordinarily thin-skinned and defensive about this whole concept of what is a woman. Now, these ex-NBA people who are pretending like they want to play in the WNBA, they're not like these mediocre swimmers or mediocre male track and field people that would be also rans if they were competing against men, but who really want to win, and so they can kind of go through this charade of being a woman and then beat the women because men physically have dominance over women. These guys were able to compete successfully in the NBA, and the NBA and the WNBA. You're in two different worlds, but it's a total trolling. And I think it's well-deserved trolling because they're saying basically, if you cannot tell me what a woman is, and if it doesn't have to do with biology, then, hey, I'm going to pretend to be a woman, and what are you going to do about it? Because
they're going to kick him out of the stadium for wearing a T-shirt.
Well, you can kick him out of a game, but when it comes time for the draft or whatever, they're going to have a rationale of why we don't want. When he stood up and put his arms out, you could see his wingspan.
Yeah, pretty big.
Oh,
he's like 6'10", 6'11".
Clay Travis bet, I don't know, was it $1 million or more than $1 million that
$10 million.
$10 million that any state champion high school boys basketball team
could beat the
best players in the WNBA.
But wait, there's more. He's upped the ante. Now it's $10 million bucks. And the best 8th grade boys team of his choice.
Well,
you love Clay Travis.
And we saw that with the women's World Cup championship team got beaten by some high school kids. Not just beaten, like shut out. So there are biological differences. This is why we have Title IX, to make sure that women have a fair chance. This is why these women-only sports leagues exist. We have softball. We have basketball. That this idea that we're unclear about what women stands for. Oh, come on! How can you be unclear about that? It's your whole reason to exist. And so they deserve all the trolling they're getting, and they're making themselves a laughingstock.
They are. Yeah. It's hilarious. It's funny. And look, what's going to happen? Are they going to be allowed to go into the WNBA draft? These two men?
Well, maybe not these two men, but I think unless the WNBA comes out and says woman means biologically woman, you are going to get some of these people who really are trying to exploit the system,
right?
The mediocre male players, but they could, compete against women and succeed. Now, what all this episode shows is that we were a little bit unfair towards Ketanji Brown Jackson when she was at her Senate confirmation hearing and Marsha Blackburn asked, what is a woman? What's the definition of a woman?
She could answer it.
Well, I'm not a biologist. Okay. In fairness to her, she's a judge and she was applying, trying to get confirmed for the Supreme Court. But when you have people, owners and coaches in the WNBA cannot explain that.
I got a trade. Ready? We should trade her from the Supreme Court to be commissioner of the WNBA.
She'd fit in.
She'd fit right in. And on that note, Mark Pulliam, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next Monday.
All right.
All right. Katz and Cosby up next. That's really great. And I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. Eva Romero will be here with us. She's running for state representative here in Nashville. AJ Haas in the afternoon. And we just have all sorts of talent coming in. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. The website, TennesseeStar.com, TennesseeStar.com.